Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, August 3rd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Real quick, a couple clarifications. First off, this candlestick you see right there will still be moving around a little bit. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, which means each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, TOON. Been getting lots of requests on this one, lots of people asking about it, and I think there's something going on with it at Reddit. And you know what? You got to give credit where credit's due. That is a place that can move stocks, and it's looking like the stock has already begun to move. So if this is kind of earlier on in things, then we'll see what happens with it. But I mean, as of right now, there's no doubt about it. There's a very, straightforward, technical pattern here. So with that level being here at the, let me bring that down. Whoops. I accidentally created too many lines there. There we go. With this area of resistance being right there at the $2.40 mark. So right there, you can see that the price has tried once, twice, 3 times, 4 times to get up through there and hasn't been able to quite do it. Now, that does not mean that that level is impossible to break. I'm just saying that it's become very apparent right now that there are sellers sitting up around that area. So keep an eye on 240. And then as far as areas of support are concerned, if you like to play more so the pullbacks, then the main area to watch from that standpoint going to be right down here at this former breakout point, right around $2.27. So keep an eye on that, like I said, if you prefer to more so play pullbacks. But overall, nice looking chart. As you can see here, higher highs and higher lows. So if this trend continues, then yeah, maybe we're looking back at this and saying, geez, remember when this thing was down below 240? We'll see what happens. Next one, Idai, and talked about this one yesterday. Monster move today, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these lines here as they serve their purpose for now. And really just, kind of a case of deja vu. Yesterday talked about a certain pattern, and now we have once again another pattern that you got to think a lot of people will be watching. So let's get this pattern in place here. So we have our area of resistance. We have this area of support down here at about 205. Change that. There we go to represent green. Maybe just make it easier to see. Let's keep it one color for everybody. So we have, that was a terrible line. We have our resistance. We have our support. We have the big move right up here to make it a little bit more visual for you golfers out there. We'll put the golf hole down here. So this would be called a bull pennant pattern. And you got to think that a lot of people have drawn this pattern in play. And I say that because when a lot of people are watching the same patterns, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very, worthwhile movement. So while nothing is guaranteed, my point here is it plausible? Is it valid that if the price comes up here and breaks up through that level, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? Again, is that at least a plausible outcome? I think so, absolutely, based on that whole idea of those self-fulfilling prophecies. So if you like stocks down below $5, you like bull pennants, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, ticker symbol AMD, an absolute train wreck of a day. I mean, what a gap and trap. I mean, price gapped up there and then just spent literally the first basically two hours of the day just going straight down. So, I mean, just a brutal day. Has now started to level out here. So we'll see if this is indeed some kind of support here that has formed. But let me bring this over here just to add in a bit more context here. There we go. So the main dynamic here that you got to think a lot of people are going to be watching is that area right there down at the 108.50 mark. Going back to the history of things, you can see this area acted as support before. And then today, yeah, the price did temporarily break down. In fact, why don't I just zoom in? So you can now see where this green line is coming from. But you can see right here, the price did temporarily drop down below it. But after that, to give credit where credit's due, it did snap back up nicely. But, that is definitely going to be a key level to watch moving forward at the 108.50 mark. And then also just simply where the price, bottomed out today, which was right around the 107.35 mark. So keep an eye on that. If there is any sort of attempted bounce in the upwards direction, first key level going to be right here at the 111.15 mark. And then after that, from more of a bigger picture bounce, keep an eye on those moving averages up there. Pink line being the 200 period moving average, purple line being the 50 period moving average. But also just, one hurdle at a time. Let's just first see if this thing can maintain this level of support and then break above that level. And then, yeah, it makes a little bit more sense at that point to, start to question that area right there. But overall, a lot of downwards momentum. And then for you pattern players out there that are maybe bearish, I mean, essentially what we also, another way you could look at this is just a bear pennant pattern. So keep that in mind. And I should note, just like because something's bullish doesn't mean that a bullish pattern will for sure go up. Same is true for a bearish pattern. Just because there's a bearish pattern, that also doesn't mean that the price will go down. But that is, definitely a way to look at this in terms of a bear pennant. Next one here, TUP, and this one finally decided to act human a little bit. Now, this is where things get a little tricky because, not real, a little tricky, very tricky, because it all depends on your perspective going in. What do I mean by that? Well, let's get some things set up here. If you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought right there, maybe you bought right there, and your plan was to buy and sell within, 10 minutes, well, then yes, from that perspective, the chart looks really, really bad. Now, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but let's say the price actually drops even more. And drops and comes all the way down here to the $3 mark right there. Again, not saying it will, but just for example's sake here. So price comes down here and then does something like this and starts to, curl back upwards. Now, emphasis here on big picture, but from the big picture perspective, what do you have? Well, you have a set of lows there, you have lows there, you have lows there, you have lows down here. And if you envision each one of those as stair-steps, what do you have from the big picture point of view? Well, from the big picture, you still have stair-steps progressing in the upwards direction. Again, I 100% acknowledge and realize that if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you don't care about these stair-steps. So that's why I'm trying to distinguish between bigger picture and then more so, a day trader type viewpoint. So yes, today, no doubt about it, very, very bad day. But think about that word today, as in one day. Looking at multiple days as we're doing here, you can see the price does still have the chance to build an overall higher base. So we'll see if the price can get that job done or not moving forward. Next one here, AMC, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the video from yesterday, but I talked about that red line right there as resistance and just the power of charts. You can see there was the bounce here, and surprise, surprise, price got rejected right at that level. So while I'm not saying that the price can never, ever get back above that resistance trend line there, I'm just suggesting that it does appear that the price is respecting that level, and it's going to be a level that you're going to want to see the price break above and stay above before you get, too bullish on anything. But also to give credit where credit's due, this level that I've talked about previously in the past, the pink line here, the 200 period moving average, which you can see back here, did a good job of holding strong. You can see once again, didn't hit it exactly, but I think we can all agree, got very, very close at that point earlier on in the day. And like I said, to give credit where credit's due, the bulls did a good job and once again got the bounce back up from that area. So moving forward, there's really two main levels, at least in my opinion, that stand out. Resistance, that trend line right there, support, that 200 period moving average right there, and it's really just a question of who's ultimately going to win out. Are the bulls going to win out with a break to the upside, or are the bears going to win with a break to the downside? That all remains to be seen. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering here very soon. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live online class. Next one here, NKLA. Did this one yesterday, and it did ultimately break to the downside. And I should have put this one at a different spot in the watch just because same general idea here. And I'm going to go through this much quicker here because you've already heard me say it, but I want to just still go through it. Whoops. And that is this. If you're a day trader and you bought up here and your plan was to buy and sell within, 7 minutes, yes, the chart looks absolutely terrible for you. But if you care about the big picture, and let's say the price actually comes down to that level right there, well, okay, comes on there, bounces around, and then heads back up. Well, and if the previous low was right there, and then you have other lows that are even, further down, here, I realize you can't see it because it's behind my ugly mug. But point here being, big picture standpoint, the overall stair steps are still progressing in the upwards direction. So is this a good or bad looking chart? That's up to you. I don't know what your angle, I don't know what your strategy going in was, but I can definitely say that if you're a day trader that you bought right there, looking to scalp out in a few minutes, chart looks like a train wreck. But from the big picture things, everything's fine. In fact, even with the pullback here, when you do that, you could just call this, a multi-day bull flag pattern. So lots of ways to look at it. But overall, like I said, nothing goes straight up. Pullbacks are not the end of the world. So yes, today, not a great day, but looking at multiple days here, things are still fine. Next one here, RAD, monster move here, got a bit of a pullback, but these are always interesting because yes, it proved the ability today to move very, very quickly. It did pull back, but the nice thing here is because when things start to pull back, when it gets to these points, it is a very valid question to throw out there. Is this the start of the end? Is this thing just going to go right back to where it started? And if you've traded long enough, I'm sure you've seen those moves where something explodes and then it just goes right back to where it was. So at that moment in time, it was a very legitimate concern. Is this, you know, is this kind of just the beginning of the end? But we got our answer, and no, it did start to go sideways. Now, let me be very clear, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because the prices started to go sideways does not mean for sure guaranteed, oh, so the pullback's over and this is for sure going to go back upwards. My point here is it's become more plausible now to think that maybe this pullback is over. Case in point, if the price was still just dropping, and I'm sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like the pullback is over, you'd be completely justified to say, what are you talking about? Based on what? The price is literally still just dropping. But, you know, that's not the case here, right? The price has started to go sideways. So does that mean the pullback is over? Does not. Does it mean it's a little bit more valid and rational to think it could be over? Absolutely. So if you like to play these sorts of explosions and then pullback situations, keep an eye on it. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and another rough day for this one. Granted, to be fair, it was a rough day across the board for the NASDAQ. So updates here definitely need to be made. Going to go ahead and get rid of these lines. Actually, I'm going to leave that one here because this is a key overarching level, and this is just based on the foundation rule and charting that when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So if there is any sort of a, you know, bigger bounce, right up there at $260 will be a main level of resistance to keep an eye on. But more so a near-term level of resistance to watch that I think is way more relevant right there at the 255.50 mark at that point. So watch that, like I said, in more the near term. And then as far as supports are concerned, pretty straightforward. Just literally a question of where did the bleeding finally stop today? And that was down there right at these lows, which sit at about 250.50. So 250.50 going to be that main level of support, like I said, for no other reason other than that's just simply where the bleeding finally stopped today. But yeah, rough day today for Tesla. But as I said already, in defense of it, the entire NASDAQ market had a rough day. Next one here, TTOO, absolutely monster afternoon. I mean, looking down here at the volume just absolutely exploded, and the price came very nicely with it. So at this point, I don't have a whole lot for you, but other than huge movement, huge volume. And you got to remember what the point of a watch list is. It's to find unique, to find interesting situations, and not randomly rush out and buy stuff, but to watch it. And sometimes all you need is some volume and volatility, and that's what we have here. So if this is one of those situations where you like penny stocks and you like situations where volume all of a sudden explodes and the price moves up very, very nicely, then yes, this would be an interesting situation for you. And it's always worth watching, and I have no idea if this is going to occur, but who knows? Maybe on Thursday the price pulls back here a little bit, and if the price were to do that, well, then what would we have? What would it then develop? Well, you'd have a downwards move there. You'd have the previous explosion there. So maybe we're looking at a bull flag pattern. Of course, that's just complete speculation. Maybe this thing continues to go straight up. I have no idea. But what I do know is that this thing's got big volume. It's got big price movement. So if you like these sorts of situations, if you find them valid and interesting, then definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ market is going to go up, this one will also go up. And it's a very popular ETF. It allows you access at a much lower price point, which, like I said, makes it very popular. So yes, today the NASDAQ had a very bad day. Therefore, this one had a very, very bad day. And you can see that it's come down quite a bit. But as always, to add in context, keep in mind that from the big picture point of view, the trend is still very much so in the upwards direction. But I do want to get a couple levels mapped out here, as that former breakout point area right. Okay, the power of charts right there. So let me change just to represent the support. But looking back through the, oh, my ugly mug's in the way a little bit. There we go. But looking back through the history of things, you can see that right here, this was a congestion point of resistance. And then, you know, basic technical analysis, when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, they tend to act as support. So you had some congestion right there as support. And then right here, you just had flat out, no congestion. It literally just bounced from that level. So I'm going to zoom back in here, but now you can keep an eye on and understand where that support level is coming from. So like I said, literally just the power of charts. So I'll turn that into a quick plug. Go get signed up for that free class. Are charts perfect? No, nothing is perfect, but they're a very valuable tool. So go get signed up. But like I said, so moving forward right here, 4160 is going to be that key level of support. In terms of levels of resistance, I'm just going to go ahead and drag this down. Yes, that level up there still does pertain, but it's not relevant anymore. In the very near term, level of resistance at this point, going to be right there at the $42.60 mark. So keep an eye on that. And then from more of an overarching standpoint, I can't remember. We had another one that I talked about this, but bigger picture point of view, keep an eye on the moving averages up there. Again, pink line, 200 period moving average, purple line, 50 period moving average. But overall, going back to the whole, at least it started to go sideways. So does that mean this bottom is finally in? Does not mean that. Does it become way more valid compared to when the price was literally just still dropping straight down? It does. So yeah, is this some sort of bottom? Grab some popcorn, because today was quite the adventure, and we'll see what Thursday has to offer. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to go get signed up for the free class. It'll be Thursday, August 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, please do 2 things for me. And I should so thank you. You guys are doing fantastic. These are getting more likes, more comments, and it really does encourage me and help me out and let me know that I should be using my time to get this content out to you. So if you enjoy these, do 2 things. Hit the like button, leave a comment, say hi, tell me what you traded today. Give me a smiley face, but those 2 things really do help out, and I thank you in advance for it. So hit that like button, leave a comment below, go get signed up for that free class. Take care.